G'day guys and gal. Chaos is a faction full of demons, heretics, psychos, and all-round terrible people. It isn't like morally grey or relatable, they are just straight up evil as. Even the most reasonable and understandable chaosy boys, like the Night Lords, still skin babies for a laugh. But is there an exception to this rule? Are there chaos followers who are actually not evil and just like the special sauce they get from lighting like weirdly scented candles while playing in their own poo? Before we get started, Christmas is nearly here, and you're probably looking for an easy, good quality gift to give to someone special. So why not give them the Performance Package 4.0? This bundle comes with the classic Lawnmower 4.0, the only electric shaver that I've ever felt comfortable using on my family jewels, including the bowls, which is generally a no-no. On top of that comes the ball toner and ball deodorant, which are designed to eliminate stanky wiener, a godsend for me when I do jiu-jitsu. Package also comes with the weed whacker, which is a nose and ear trimmer that I personally don't need, but I'm sure many of you may, as well as a high quality travel bag and a very comfortable pair of non-chafe boxes. These boxes are great, easily my favorite pair. I'm actually literally just wearing them right now and didn't even prepare for that actually. Manscaped isn't just confined to these products though. They've got the shears for the nail grooming, body wash and shampoo, cologne, even an amazing single blade razor which I use to slay my neck beard before it can bring me down. So to get 20% off any of these products and bundles as well as free international shipping, then use my linking code Majorkill below. Cheers to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Today we'll explore some unique and special chaos followers to determine if you can actually praise the lords of hell without being inherently evil. A part of this video, we'll also explore why the chaos gods themselves only seem to exist in their evil form, and what aspects of the chaos gods are actually supposed to be good. Let's get into it. We first gotta understand why chaos is so damn evil. The chaos gods were created during events of intense emotional suffering. As the warp is a reflection of real space that uses souls and emotion for fuel, the more grimdark things are, the worse the warp becomes. Originally, the warp was actually a pretty nice place. There were very few dark parasite entities, and many races were able to cleanly reincarnate without fear. It was only during the War in Heaven, where the warp was weaponized and the galaxy burned, did it turn into this churning maelstrom, fertile soil for the evil chaos gods to grow in. At certain points in history, the chaos gods were born. The lore is a bit sketchy on what events cause each god to manifest. Old lore said it was humanity that caused it, but that just doesn't make any sense, and has also been low-key retconned. It's likely Khorne was created during the War in Heaven, Titsnitch during the Dominion of the Elder, and Nurgle during the Enslaver Plague, making them all about the same age roughly. The only one we know for sure is Slaanesh, who was definitely born at the literal galactic climax of the Elder Empire's fall into depravity. Regardless, each chaos god was born of negativity and suffering, hence each chaos god was a creature of negativity and suffering, seeking to expand its influence and feed its insatiable ambition. But just because your parents are bad people doesn't mean you have to be. Sure, the greatest of Chaos's champions are generally very evil and are rewarded for their evil deeds. But what about Billy Bob, the scientist who worships Titsnitch in order to expand his knowledge in his hopes of curing warp aids? Well, the issue is, especially with Titsnitch, is that attempting to leverage his power to help others will generally result in a massive backfire due to Titsnitch just wanting to have a laugh. Sure, Billy Bob will cure warp aids, but as a side effect, everyone that was treated starts only listening to dubstep, not worth the trade. Even Khorne, who is pretty straight up about what he does to you, would be difficult to leverage to do good. Let's say you praise Khorne to gain the strength needed to protect your family from raiders. Sure, you may kill the raiders, but in your bloodlust, you'll probably end up killing your family as well, Kratos style. The path to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's actually how the chaos gods trap you. Their initial offers will generally be used for good. Titsnitch will help with science and progress, Nurgle will help with easing pain, Khorne will help with the strength to protect the ones you love, and Slaanesh will give you pleasure and joy. However, these gifts are temporary. If you want to enhance or maintain them, you have to go deeper down the rabbit hole. For Titsnitch, this means to achieve that next scientific breakthrough, you'll have to kill and sacrifice your mentor. For Khorne, you will need to shed more blood, even if the ones you promised to kill aren't around anymore. For Nurgle, if you want to ease someone's pain and suffering, you just gotta let them exist as a living hive for plague flies. and Slaanesh is, well, Slaanesh. This is why every Chaos follower seems to be evil. They are playing a rigged game. You would require the willpower of a god to win, as you are literally playing against gods. If you successfully resist them while using their gifts, it'll draw their direct gaze upon you and make it a million times more difficult to not end up as an evil piece of shit, or a Chaos spawn. In saying that, each of the Chaos gods are supposed to embody good aspects as well. If it wasn't for all the negativity in the setting, there's a decent chance that the Chaos gods could have still formed, but not as these malevolent beings. On paper, Khorne represents strength, courage, and honor. Titsnitch represents progress, Nurgle is nature and healing, while Slaanesh is passion, joy, and love. But unfortunately, the Chaos gods didn't get this memo. Sure, Khorne makes you strong and courageous, and superficially, honorable. But that won't stop Khornite berserkers from tearing an innocent non-combatant limb from limb and then drinking their blood. Titsnitch traps people's free will using knowledge and progress. Nurgle's nature and growth is actually diseased and parasitic. His healing also has a lot of negative side effects, while Slaanesh has twisted pleasure into something depraved. So with all that said, is there any good Chaos worshippers? Any exception to the rule? Well, yes actually, kind of. There was once an Ultramarine who was corrupted by Nurgle and became a Plague Marine. The issue with Nurglite corruption is that you don't really get a choice most of the time. You get infected, and then you either die horribly or you accept Papa Nurgle. However, this Ultramarine was able to cling to a small vestige of honor and good. His duty to the Emperor broke through the horrors of his plagued brain as he smuggled a nuclear bomb in his own decayed, bloated body, and then set it off when he came face to face with his Nurglite master, killing both of them and the surrounding warband. On the flip side, a Nurglite champion once fought with total and complete honor, taking on a loyalist hero. The two fought, and the Nurglite champion was so impressed with the loyalist's glorious last stand and heroic deeds that even as he killed the loyalist hero, he promised that he and his fallen battle brothers' corpses would remain undefiled and buried with honor. Out of all the Chaos gods, Nurgle is the least malicious, so it makes sense that his followers would emulate that. Then there is the legendary case of Rylanor's last stand, in particular, Vistario, the Thousand Sun sorcerer. The Thousand Suns are one of the least evil of the Traitor Marines. They rarely do unnecessarily cruel stuff for a laugh like most of their evil cousins do. Also, the reason for them turning traitor was pretty justified. So when Fulgrim was tormenting the honorable and legendary Rylanor, Vistario was like, you know what? Fulgrim, you're a scumbag. Rylanor is a top G, so Vistario allowed a planet-destroying nuclear bomb to go off in order to protect Rylanor from being tainted by Fulgrim, as well as to severely hurt and inconvenience Fulgrim. That's right, this guy gave his own life and the life of his mates to protect the soul of a loyalist, his enemy, from one of his own faction's leading warlords. If that isn't the most selfless, benevolent act of morally good sacrifice, then I don't know what is. An interesting case now, we have Inquisitor Eisenhorn, who despite not worshipping Chaos, uses a shitload of chaotic artifacts, spells, and tools. He has also been injected with raw liquefied chaos, which actually rejuvenated him. This is the only real case of someone with such insane levels of willpower that they are able to use and abuse the gifts of chaos without their soul getting tainted or becoming evil. But it also doesn't really count, as Eisenhorn never actually pledged to the gods. Another almost example was a woman who figured out how to absorb the essence of Slaaneshi demons in order to give herself eternal life. She was able to do this without being corrupted, and although she was probably a total bitch, she wasn't this like evil chick. However, Slaanesh did end up claiming her soul and turning her into a demon, but without the direct intervention of a Chaos god, this chick could have continued indefinitely. But once again, she didn't actually pledge to Slaanesh, she just figured out how to steal some of her power. Unfortunately, almost all examples of people who have fiddled with chaos and remained morally good is generally because they reject chaos in their final moments, or simply use chaos as a tool without actually praising the gods. The traitor Astartes who seem to follow some kind of code of honor are generally the ones who chose not to praise chaos and simply remain as traitor Astartes. The reality is that once you've drunk the Kool-Aid, you are in a downward spiral that leads to damnation and evil deeds. The only character you could genuinely say that was a worshipper of chaos but still remained morally good was Vistario. He counts because he didn't reject chaos when he blew up Fulgrim, he just did the right thing. Out of all the chaos worshippers, it's definitely the followers of Titsnitch who have the most room to be good. Titsnitch Titsnitch doesn't really care about needless slaughter or torture. He likes schemes, smart people, and funny shit. I mean, Ahriman, Titsnitch's champion, has dedicated his life to undoing his mistake when he turned his legion into a bunch of dusty boys. Compare that with Khan, who just wants to kill, Typhus, who just wants to infect, or Lucius, who just wants to sodomize, and you can see why I've come to this conclusion. So the short answer is yes, you can still be a morally good Chaos follower, but pretty much only if you follow Titsnitch. The long answer is that it's complicated, but generally, unless you have the willpower of a god, or you're able to please your god in some other ways that don't involve evil deeds, then your soul is heading straight for hell as soon as it leaves your body. With this being 40k, that won't take very long. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Majorkill Christmas merch. This will pretty much be the last chance to order and receive in time for Christmas. And you do not want to miss out on this funny hat. There's only like 100 left and they will never ever return. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more evil content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.